Hello and welcome to RQ Streams this Wednesday afternoon. How are we all doing? How are we all doing? Everyone good? I trust we're all well, whatever time zone we are in. Hello, hello, welcome. Nothing amiss. There were no sound problems whatsoever. Ah, okay. Hello, for anyone who is new joining us. Hi, I'm Anil, and I am the comms guy here at Rusty Quill. If you don't know who Rusty Quill are, we are a podcasting company and entertainment network, and we put out a number of shows every week. Um, Thank you. Thank you, are you here for the 300 bits? We put out a number of shows every week. We put out an actual play gaming podcast called the Rusty Quill Gaming Podcast, a horror anthology show, the Magnus Archive, and sci-fi dystopian comedy, Stella Firma. You can find out details about all the shows we put out over at our website at www.rustyquill.com. What we also do here on RQ Streams, thanks to your incredible generosity, is talk about games and play games, and mostly talk about introductory experiences to games. We want to highlight and show new roads, new ramps into the fantastic world of gaming and the opportunities that it offers. And we'll be doing this by showcasing different genres, different styles of games, everything from indies to triple A's. We've played things like Dishonored 2, Hatful Boyfriend, Minecraft, Ooblets, so like new things and old from across the years. So, yes, as I say, RQ Streams is supported by your amazing generosity. You can support us in a number of ways, either by direct donation in the link down below, or !donate will bring up the direct link for that. If you don't want to, give money through Twitch or Amazon, you can also sign up, subscribe here on the channel, and get access to a bunch of emotes. All done by our wonderful, wonderful producer, production manager now, April Sumner. Or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/rustyquill and get access to a bunch of rewards and such related to the shows that we put out. So, admin out of the way. How are we doing? Also, welcome to the Modsing channel. They're the ones with the swords. They will be looking after chat while I am otherwise engaged with the game. And no doubt getting very frustrated at it because we are here to play chess, the oldest game, well, one of the world's oldest games. Thank you very much, Sasha Sortai, for the 3-month resub, saying, oh, thank you very much. I always need a run up at this game. Chibitarasa Jojo, who subscribed for the 2nd month, and thank you very much. Are you here for another 100 bits? Yay Moda. I think that should probably say Yay Mods. But yes, big shout out to them. So, chess, one of the world's oldest games, has recently been given a new, I don't know, lease of life, a new variant. There have been variants of chess like throughout history. Obviously, one of the most well-known is tridimensional chess from Star Trek. If you will indulge me, a little geek lore. I have actually played tridimensional chess on a physical board back in the 90s. There was a limited edition set that was produced. Oh, I can't remember. I want to say Franklin Mint because they did an awful lot of the collectibles from that time. And my friend, who was also very much into Star Trek, bought it. Or got given it as a present, rather. I mean, we were teenagers. Where were we going to find like 250 quid for a for a gift like that? Oh, thank you very much, Fancy George Jones, for the 100 bits. And thank you very much, Chibitaras the Jojo, for giving out a gift sub. Um, oh, ouch! Ouch, Withmore! How dare you get Yu-Gi-Oh into this most noble, this most sacred of games. Um, but yes, tridimensional chess, which had your like three stacked boards with a couple of movable boards that you can move a piece onto and then move it up or down a level uh, as you so wished or as a move. Um, Obviously, that was considered a futuristic game, but it played very well. It had a decent rule set, and it was a lot of fun. Um, Thank you very much, Jory, for the 5 month resub. Yay for Nerd God Annual Time. I don't know about Nerd God, but I will nerd out about certain things. Oh, and Matson has redeemed a karaoke. Okay, karaoke requests will get moved to the end of the show. I'm not like Mike. I won't randomly insert lyrics into the middle of the thing. Oh no. Bryn has also redeemed karaoke time for my favourite or most singable song from the musical Chess. Well, I can't do my favourite song because it requires two people. So it will probably be my next favourite. But we'll get to those at the end of the show. Sorry about the tissue. It is very warm here today, and my nose is extremely itchy. So today's game, we are playing a game called Five Dimensional Chess with Multiverse Time Travel. Now, this game came out 2 weeks ago, and it had been around for a couple of days before all the hype suddenly hit. Well, with Twitter in particular, and I saw I got linked to a tweet about a very wild game being described, and looked into it and thought, right, okay, I've got to play this, and that we will be doing today. I have played a little bit of this so far, just to get a feel for the game, and we will talk about that as we do this. Wow! Thank you very much, Makeshift Primart, for the 100 bits. Thank you very much, Makeshift Primart. Yes, I really like my Tardimus Prime shirt. And wow, thank you very much, Bryn, Brave the Fibble, for giving out 10 community gift subs. Welcome, Shove Shove on the Wren, Colcaller Geether. Ooh, nice name there. Not Lord English. JJ Berries, Edel May Hampson, Coinmaster, Nutzia, Nuitza, Captain Carol, and Litzquiz. Oh, Lydia. Welcome to the channel, courtesy of Bryn. So, there's been a lot of hype about this game. It's been very favourably reviewed on Steam. We will talk about its implementation and adaptation in a moment. But in terms of like my history with chess, I am a enthusiastic amateur. I think is the best way of describing it. I was very into it when I was in school. I would usually be in. I dabbled around with the various chess clubs at my school, but was never good enough to actually play it competitively. And given what I know of the chess circuit, it's would have been a bit beyond me at that time. But I have, as I say, dabbled and been been okay at it. I think competent is probably the best word to describe me. I did play a little bit more when I got to uni, and did even play on one of my colleges, I think my college C team, when they were really desperate for a board 5 or 6 in one of the intercollegiate matches. So I think so. Technically, I have represented my college at chess, but you know, it's so low down on the on the competitive scale that you know it doesn't really count, I guess. Thank you very much, Bryn, for giving a sub to Varia the Villain, and thank you very much, Myananin, for the 2-month resub. Yes, Coinmaster. It is the TARDIS transforming into Optimus Prime. The other one I have is a Dalek transforming into Megatron. They are a paired set, and I saw them on T-Fury many, many years ago now. And as soon as they popped up on my feed, it's like, yep, those two, that combines a bunch of my nerdy interests, so I've got to buy them. So, chess. Yes, we're talking about chess here today. I'm not going to explain the rules of chess, or at least not in any great detail. It's not, at its heart, it's not a fundamentally difficult game to know the basic rules of, but where the difficulty lies in the game is the strategy, and obviously it is extremely complex once you start talking about moves 3, 4, 5, 10 ahead. Obviously, you know, grandmasters are plotting out whole games in their heads from just a single pawn move. But as I say, I'm not really going to go into the rules of chess itself here, but hopefully you will be able to pick up some of it as we go along. So let's go to the game, and I will read you out the rules as presented here, because this does change the rules in some very fundamental ways. So let us go here. And we are presented with a rather snazzy looking turn this down a bit because there is a little bit of ambient noise, but I don't think it's really going to come across on stream very well. It's mostly like just background drone. So here we are. Oh wait, my screen is synced. Yeah. Angel says I don't play chess, but my husband and sons do. I struggle with strategy in most forms. No shame in me that in admitting that. I mean, chess is easy game. It's one of those ones that it's an easy game to learn, but it's an extremely difficult game to master. I had some friends who were extremely good at the game, and who were competitive players both for the school and further at university. And yeah, I didn't stand much of a chance against them, but it was still fun. Let's go to the rules and let's talk about this. So I'm not going to go with the quick rules, although it's easy. It's if you can see this, it's like make moves with your chess pieces when it's your turn. If you move a piece into the past, a new timeline will be created. So, what? To complete a turn, make moves until the present shifts to your opponents. What? If you don't need to make moves on every board where it's your turn, every board. But if you can't make enough legal moves to complete your turn, you're checkmated or stalemated. Try a match against a trainer. Simplify. So, given that this is the first presentation with the rules you are given, you're immediately thrown with new terminology and unfamiliar terminology. And it's like, right, okay. So your strategy, attacking a king's past is easier than attacking its present. Past, okay. History can't be altered to change where the king was or allow another piece to block the attack. The attacker must be captured. If you're unchecking one timeline, your only option may be to time travel very far back to another timeline. Timelines, time travel, if a player branches twice. And so you can see on this that you're presented with quick rules and strategy that almost require you to be fundamentally familiar with what it is asking you to do before you've even got to like a basic rule set. So here is what the complete rules are. And what they call their justification. The rules of 5D chess with multiverse time travel are generalized from the rules of ordinary chess. The 5D in the name refers to the typical two spatial dimensions, a third unused spatial dimension. Unlike tridimensional chess, we're not operating in the z-axis here. A fourth dimension representing time, and a fifth dimension representing parallel timelines. When pieces travel to the past, paradoxes are avoided by using a branching timeline system. So, okay, we're given a little bit more, of a grounding here. So, okay, we'll be able to move on the board as, in inverted commas, normal. So, moving along the rows, moving along the columns, the rank and file. But it also looks like we can jump backwards in time, but they still haven't really explained what that is. And we can create parallel timelines, and you will see how this emerges when we go through the practice games. If you listen carefully, you can hear Brim bang his head on the desk through the wall. Look, when I loaded up this game, did exactly the same. So subjects, what is checkmate? If a player has no way to end their turn, i.e. no way to move to the present without leaving themselves in check, then they are checkmated. For a game with a single timeline and under normal chess rules, this means all of their moves leave them in check, i.e. the king has no legal moves that they can make. For a game with multiple timelines, it means that every combination of moves leaves them in check, and every time travel move will leave them in check. I'm not going to go any further on that because it's the case. This is something we'll see in a moment. How are pieces available moves determined? Again, it gets quite complicated here, and this is one where demonstration may be easier than explanation. So you can see then we've got multiple boards. And here we get to the piece movements. A rook moves any distance in one dimension. So that's going to be the normal way the rook moves, which is along the rank, so along the row that it is on, along the column it is on, also known as the file. Thank you very much.
I'm just rooting for you, Emil.
Hopefully it'll be a little clearer once we get started. Thank you very much, Unicorn Kissing, for the 100 bits, and thank you very much, Widmore, for giving a gift sub to Plants and Bees. But it can also move along a timeline. So it can move along a temporal dimension as well. A bishop moves any distance in two dimensions at once. A direction defined by two dimensions is a diagonal. In ordinary chess, bishops move along row and column diagonals, and we will see how this works in multi-dimensions shortly. The knight is extremely confusing. It moves two squares in one dimension, then one square in a different dimension. And it has to almost. Queen moves any distance in a number of dimensions at once. This is more than just rook and bishop movement because it includes triagonals and quadrigonals. Same with the king, can move one square in any dimensions at once. A pawn moves 1 or 2 squares at a time in the forward direction. In ordinary chess, forward means towards your opponent's back row. Here it also means forward along your opponent's back timeline. And then a unicorn. What? I didn't actually see that earlier. I don't think unicorns and dragons are a thing. Wait. I don't know what those are, chat. I have to say that I kind of gave up at this point when reading the rules. And so if this is the in inverted commas complete rules, we're again presented with a wealth of terminology and a wealth of information that makes very little sense on initial presentation. So I get the feeling that there is a possibility of somewhere between the utter incomprehensibility of a quick rule set and the in-depthness of the complete rules for a better explanation here. And we are going to be we will touch on UX or user experience quite a bit in this. Okay, right. So let's close this and actually get to what. Let's get to the game. Yeah, there are already horses in chess. Nice. We're going to start with the puzzles, and we're going to go through these as best we can to see if we can actually understand what is meant by the by that somewhat incomprehensible morass of rules. So we're going to start off with the rook, which is ostensibly the simplest piece to move, and we present with a number of puzzles, 4 rook puzzles, with a variety of checkmate options, where we are looking to secure either checkmate in 2 moves, checkmate in 1 move. That's what's meant by mate in 1, mate in 2, or down here mate in 3. So let's play. So a simplified board state then. So we're given a 6x6 square grid. Normally a chessboard is an 8x8, but here obviously they have simplified things, presumably for the sake of not being too overwhelming, but obviously we will see. Silas the Eel, I would love there to be a tutorial with the explanations interspersed. So would I, as we will see. So, what we are presented with here is, if I scroll out, we are presented with the present. So this board here, the one that I'm pointing to and is highlighted, is the current state of the game. The boards leading up to it, here and here, show us what has happened in order to get there. So our initial presentation is a king in the bottom left hand corner, 2 rooks, one here, one here, next to it, and a lone black king. Obviously white has the upper hand here. Then the rook moved 3. The rook on the second rank moved over 3 spaces, and we come to this position here. Now, if this were a normal game of chess, my move would be to move the other rook to the bottom right hand corner in order to checkmate the king, because the king wouldn't be able to move away from check in this file, because it would be immediately in check in this. So I'm going to do that and see what happens. What is nice here is that when you select the piece, it shows you what moves you can make, which is very helpful and is going to be helpful later on. So, normal circumstances, if this was a straightforward 2D game of chess, this is my move. So I make the move, the board advances, and I submit. And the king jumps back in time. So, the king has decided, because the king can move in one square in any dimension, it has jumped back to a previous board where it is no longer in check, and thus forked the timeline, giving a new present to a point where there are now two black kings on this board in this timeline. And we have one more move in which to try and win the game. So if I was to say click on here, it shows me that my moves are along here, but also gives me this, which is a parallel view, which shows me that it can also move along the timeline in that direction. Now, so let me click back on this. I've also got, let me deselect that. In theory, I could also, I can't move anything on these boards, but I could move things on these boards. Now I'm trying to remember how I did this, because I kind of lucked into the answer the first time I did this. Hello, you need to checkmate back in time as well. Yes, so I need to go back in time, or at least find some way to check this king in the past. Now I don't necessarily want to do that by moving this rook. I think I can't alter history because I can't move these. I can't move these pieces. But let's see what happens if I do this to here, because again that is what would normally happen. So let's submit that move, and it says that the puzzle is complete. Now it's given me a little exclamation mark here, so I'm going to click on that because what it would be is that this rook would move to capture that king as well. I will say that this is not the most intuitive explanation. I'm not entirely certain why. I can understand from the presentation that, okay, yes, this is how it would work. Obviously the king can't jump forward in time because this row in the future is still as Brady, the rook is threatening both kings and only one of them could be moved. Yeah, that's that is actually, sorry, the better explanation. And thank you. I probably should have watched a couple of other videos on this before I came into this. But I wanted to, I really did want to show you this from, as I say, from the perspective of somebody coming into new. You don't need to get both kings, no. You just have to, it's just any king that is or would be in check has to be things, or at least that's what we are taking away from this. Okay, so we'll finish that puzzle and see if we can do this next one. So we have a board state where where white has a king and one white rook. Black has a lone king and a lone pawn. Rook moves to block this this file. The king moves forward. The rook moved to the corner to put the king in check. The king moved to there. The rook then moved back in time to the corner, so to double up and do kind of the steamroller effect again, creating a branching timeline and putting the king in check there. The king then escaped to the future because the rook had disappeared from there, and there were now two rooks on this board. So now what we have are two kings in this timeline, and two rooks here. So what we do is we click on here and we can see the various moves that are available. This rook can only move up and down here. Deselect. This rook could move there, but as you can see, it could also move there, jumping timelines to the back on that line. So let's deselect that. So because the rooks can only move in one dimension, what we have to do is effectively stop the king being able to jump to the future by altering the present. So what I am going to do is move this to here, submit the move, and the puzzle is complete, because, as I say, this kind of prevents the king from... It captures the king in the next move if the king jumps to the future, and the king has already jumped to the future. If that makes any sense. Oh, hey, Mike. So okay, that seems to make a certain degree of sense. By putting the rook into a position where we know the king is going to jump to, it both keeps this king. It captures one of the kings. So let's finish that and move on to the next rook puzzle. So what we have, again, standard rook moves to put king in check. King moves. This time the white king moves, because obviously legal moves for a king can't put it next to another king. So king moves one space this way, and we move to this board, and we try and figure out where we can go. So we are going to move this rook here and put the king in check. Unfortunately, that didn't work because the king just escaped, and this is supposed to be a mate in one. So let's reset the puzzle. What do we do here? I did this before and now I can't remember. So let's try putting the king in check here, but presumably he will escape out the side again. Yeah. Okay. Reset the puzzle. We can't move back along the timeline because the rook was in position kind of like the whole time. The king ends up there. Because we can't alter our history. But... Huh? What? Undo move. Hang on. Yeah, I can only move in those dimensions. So... oh, thank you very much, Aspen Trees, for the Twitch Prime sub. Welcome to the channel. Nobody says my granddad would love this. Yeah. I'm not sure if we can send our king back in time, because this is supposed to be a mate. This is supposed to be a rook tactic. So I'm just gonna see if, because under normal circumstances the rook just no. Okay, the king just moves that. That's fine. Right. Can I move the king? Oh yeah, maybe I can move the king. Maybe it would just move that. I mean, we'll... Ah, yes, hang on. What I'll do is, if I move the king... if I move the king there... Can I? Because that creates that. Then no, it's telling me I have to undo the move. Okay, so that's not the well, at this point, Varia, the rooks can't move back in the past because there is only one. There isn't a branching timeline for it to go to. Although I would have thought that the rook would have been able. Oh no, because the only place it could go back to is right to the beginning. Or maybe can I move this right back to the beginning, to the start position? No, it's not letting me. Yeah. So as you see, this is not the most intuitive. This really is not the most intuitive way of going about things. Let's just try something random. Let's go there and see if that works. And you see, this is saying that the puzzle is complete. Now we'll click on this to see if we can get an explanation. And if you see right back at the start. That is where the king was. So, by moving there, you have effectively captured the king in the past. And this is something that we're going to have to be very aware of. This is something that we are going to have to be very aware of, is where a king is, or where a piece is, in any given iteration of the timeline. So yeah. Yeah, we are all very confused. And as I say, this game could really benefit with a better explanation system. So yeah, going right back to the start where the king is in this board, and let's click on this board. So you can see if we move to the top right hand corner, we end up basically capturing the king in the past. Yeah, because the next move, the king could move directly back in time and capture the king, because the king can't move in the past. Trishokai has it right there. So these are the things that we have to remember as we are going through. Avatar of the Lesbian. This is a wild ride through the rules of chess. I do actually have a content warning of confusion for this game. So if you ever move your king, you're creating more and more weak spots. I believe that is the case. And it means that certain... So one of the things that I did look up was what this means for your traditional chess openings. And it does lead to some very interesting re-evaluations of very classic and very simple chess openings. But I think we can look at that later, maybe. Okay, so let's finish that and go to the last rook puzzle and see what we get. So, black rook, black king. We have a white king seemingly boxed into a corner. What we would do here is, if we move the rook to here, we effectively, well, under normal circumstances, we would stalemate, but the king has a move into the past, where we will see if he does. So we'll submit that, forcing him to go back in time. Now, what we do is, remembering about historical pieces cannot move, we will we can't simply advance here. I don't believe, because the king in one of the timelines would just be able to eat us, I think. So what we've got is the option to jump back to here. And I can't remember if that is valid. So let's try it and create a split timeline here. And then we can't move that piece. Do we have any moves in the present? Yes. So we've got that rook. I think that rook going there. No, that creates a couple of branching timelines and doesn't work. As I said, this is going to get complicated very quickly. So let's reset that and try again. I don't think we were wrong with our first move. There. So we force it back. What if we move that there and that there? No, okay, because it just continues to jump back into the past. So, Rowan Twigs, I think the easiest way to win this game is just to make so many timelines that no player knows what's going on and you have to quit. Yeah, confusion and stress. I guess if you're playing against a human opponent, then that is a very likely possibility. A Fitzling playing, I really love this, I didn't think I would. Strangely enough, I do. I wish it was better. I wish there was a better presentation for how and why. Because the two rooks wouldn't be checkmating the king since they're too close and would be eaten. Yeah. So, let's consider moving it there and seeing what happens. So, king moves that way, and we haven't really got a another move because all we do is because even if we tried to do, say, that, the king just moves there and gets out of the check that way. So, what we are going to try and do is put the king in check here, submit there. It jumps back, and then we move to here on the same thing, and I think we have a move left, and I'm not sure where. Because again, it could be a lot more helpful. All moves in the present timeline have to be accurate. So there is a check there, and then we move there. And no, we still don't have we still don't have a solution here. So what have we got? We can't move there. Or can we? Because it just moves there. So we go here. Maybe we were on the right track. So we've got moves on this border and this border. So let's move, see if that works. And the puzzle is complete. And so let's see, because then the next one, it just moves there. Although there is a superimposition issue. Is there a superimposition issue? Not sure. I think it's to so I think it's a okay. What is bringing the king can't eat the rook because the rook from the parallel timeline threatens it, and if the king takes the other rook, jumps timelines to take back. Yeah, the kings have filled up their own path so much that they can't escape. Yes, so there is no room for any of the kings to escape to, and it can't take the rook because the rook is effectively doubled up. I think that's why. But as you say, it's really awkward. It's really awkward to actually understand why things necessarily do the way. I think what this is the kind of game where it would really help having a a more competent chess player explain exactly why this works when it does so. And so again, I think this is one of the fundamental things I'm going to say about this game, and I'm going to say it here rather than necessarily being part of the analysis at the end, is I think that this is a fundamentally good game. It's a really interesting idea, but very badly executed. And those of you who may have seen us try and struggle our way through Cultist Simulator way back when, at the start of our Q streams, I think we have a same. I think we have to have a similar. I think we have a similar issue in that there is a lot of interesting things here, but it is not explained well, and you are left to try and muddle through and work things out for yourself. Which, if you are somebody who has a very good grasp of strategy, is possibly fine. It's probably fine. But if you're someone like me who has a good grasp of the game mechanics, but not the best strategy or the best intuitive ways of puzzling out from very little rules, then it becomes much less accessible. But we're gonna carry on and see how we go. So we've looked at the Rook. Hopefully, I and we have a better grasp of how a Rook works. So we're going to finish this and move to the Knight. Now, if you remember, the Knight moves 2 spaces in one dimension and 1 in another. So under normal circumstances, this is the L-shaped move. So we're presented with a Knight and a King here against a lone black king. So we've got mate in 1 apparently. So if you click here, we can see that the Knight can move there, there, or there. So 2 spaces in one dimension, 1 in another. 2 and 1, 2 and 1. Wolf Prince wants, I think this game is for people who love chess strategy, but she wants more. And I think that's right. And there, as I say, there have always been people who have looked to make variants on the rule of chess. This is not a new concept. There are records of chess variants going back hundreds of years. Oh, hey, Night Bites. And this is just the latest in a line of them. But it does do something new. It does do something different. And I think that more people could get behind this, again, if there were better explanations. Now, I wonder if they're taking feedback from seeing everybody grasp this. And I wonder if it was just a case of they didn't grasp UX, or they didn't grasp how many people would want to try this and then potentially get frustrated by the lack of explanation. Maybe they thought maybe it's one of those situations where it's just, oh, we understand how to do this, surely everyone else will. And that sort of thing makes me a little bit annoyed. I dislike chess strategy, but like puzzles and time travel. For me, it's a combo of those two rather than necessarily have to strategize against a moment. What I am going to do is I probably will try a game against an AI opponent when we get through some more of these puzzles. I'm an influencer these days, mate. Tweet them. I might pop in on their Discord. I really am intrigued to see what their thoughts are on this. Niblick3 says, this feels like they've taken taken as a UI module regular chess games which don't need to explain how to work because it's an analog feel without taking into account how different it is. And I think that's a valid point. Hi Joe Spoopy, saw the title and went multiverse time travel. Yes, we are playing chess which can branch into multiple dimensions. So we're looking at the knight, and we've got a number of options here. Under normal circumstances, we have got... There is no way that we have a mate in one. None of the positions that the knight can move into would actually checkmate the king in... or even put the king in check here. So we are going to just see what options we are given when we're doing this, because some of these puzzles are just going to have to be a bit trial and error-y, and we see where we get to. And it says the puzzle is complete. Now let's click on this to explain why. Because if we click on that and showcase this, we can see that in the past, or at least even if the king moves out let's move back to this board. So under normal circumstances, the king would move to one of these two squares. Again, if this was a 2D game. Thank you very much, Purple Almonds, for the 4-month Twitch Prime sub. As I say, couldn't move there because it would be in check normally. King would move here or here in order to escape the thing. But if we go to this view, we can see that the knight can move, and actually we're shown two other temporal locations for the knight here, because in order to move to this square, it would move 1, 2 in this dimension, and then 1 square back along the timeline to end up there. And similarly, it can move 2 spaces in that direction and 1 back to capture the king in the past. So that's actually pretty straightforward as a explanation goes, but we are working on very much a pretty straightforward, being again not the most intuitive response. So let's finish this and move on to the next one. Again, we are presented with a mate in one with. So white has a knight and a king. The king moves above the knight. Black king moves, and we are presented with a couple of options. So again, mate in one, and we are presented with the standard moves of a knight. So we could go here, here, or here. But we're also given the option of here, because 2 along, 1 back, or here, which is 2 along and 1 back on the timeline. So none of the historical positions necessarily put the king in check, but I reckon if we jump into the past, can we make a case for putting the king in check? Here, let's try that. Let's see if moving into the past is actually effective. And then the present, and Okay, no, that did not work. No, not quite sure I understand that. So let's try again. We've got a... Let's try... There? Let's see if that works. No, puzzle is incomplete because the king just moves there. Okay. So, what we've got is... Let's see what happens if we try and put it there. So, no, okay, because it just moves out, and yeah, not a thing. Oh. And it attacks the king in multiple timelines. Okay, so that basically does the same as the way we did it before. So let's try this again. If we jump there, then let's see what happens if we do this. And the puzzle is complete. Okay. Now let's see what it says about why. Because right. Okay. Yes, we're forgetting. We're forgetting where the king was at the start of the game, because it's this position that allows us to do a 1-2 boards back and 1 up. And again, this is what we're going to have to be really careful about. It's trying to work out exactly, because effectively every 2 boards is one space, because we're shown the state with after a white move, after a black move, that you're not looking at 4 boards back here. You're actually only looking at 2 boards back here. So 1, 2, and 1 up. Didn't think about the 2 moves in one dimension being 2 jumps to the path. Yeah, and that's the thing with the knight. This is going to be critical with regards to L-shaped move. And this is why, people underestimate the knight in normal chess, particularly if you're a beginner of the game. And the knight's ability to threaten in the strangest manner has just got a lot stranger. So let's finish this one and move on to knight 3. So what we are given is a branched timeline already. So king and a pawn versus king and a knight. The knight moved to there. The pawn advanced to threaten the knight. The knight moved out of the way. The pawn advanced. The knight jumped back in time to cause a bifurcation. And the king then moved in this board. Right. So, what we are presented with are a couple of options. Now, there is an obvious... there is an obvious move that we could capture that pawn and put the king in check directly by jumping to this parallel timeline. That would then cause or we can't change, we can't move that knight or can we? No, our only moves are on this board or on this board. So let's try the obvious move. The obvious move is to capture this and put the king in check there. So let's see if we do that. No, and that did not work. King moves there. Right, okay, so let's reset this and scroll back. And what have we got here? So, okay, let's click on the knight again and see where we've got. We've got the option to jump back here. Does that help us? Because we are thinking about where it might move. I mean, we've got the option of seeing like where can we threaten this square in the past effectively. And king hasn't moved from that spot. So could we move? Two and one back? Or do we have... No, we don't have a... No, we don't have a move there. Okay. Or we have this knight with an obvious move to here or here. So if we move the one to here, it checks in the current. Okay, let's try that and see. No, that did not work. Okay. So yeah, we are figuring this out together, chat. Because this is past where I had done the test just to see how things would operate for the stream. So we go back here. We are presented with a number of options. So if we go here, then it's two. Then 2 and 1 back would allow us to capture that, wouldn't it? Let's try that one. Let's see if this works. Yes, okay. So I'm going to assume that by moving there, that we then have the, as we saw in the first puzzle, something that is 2 spaces ahead of you actually kind of works if it is 1 back on a board. So we could go So go 1, 2, and jump 1 back to the past, which I hope is what it's going to say. So yeah, I mean, or effectively in this case to a parallel timeline. So yeah, you've got the 1, 2, 1 back, as you can see from this diagram. So we'll finish that one. Move on to Night Tactics 4. And see what we've got here. So pawn and king versus king and knight. King moves, pawn moves, king moves again. King moves over ostensibly to protect the pawn, I'm guessing. And we've got a mate in 1 apparently, yeah. So we've got a couple of options for this for the thing. The standard moves there and there. We've got to jump back in time to here of 1 space, or we've got jump back in 2. And so what we need to do is so we jump this to here. What have you just realized, Mike? If we do this again, I should hop onto your channel and commentate this. I'm not sure trying to commentate my my things. If it were an actual game against a real person, then maybe, like, if we could get someone else in the company to play me, and then you were to do that. I mean, that's not, that's not a bad idea. We could probably find someone else in the company who has an interest in chess, and set up a kind of exhibition match with commentary. Oh, and there was a hydrate from April 15 minutes ago. Yeah, Mike, porque no los dos. Yeah. Thank you very much, Unicorn Kissing, for giving a gift sub to Wolf Prince 1. Yeah, sorry, Chan. Again, I come into this knowing chess as a competent amateur. This is very much a learning curve for me, and as I've said so far, I don't think it is the best. I don't think trial and error is the best teaching method, particularly when you have a game like this. Brain says I could try, don't see it going well. Maybe that is something for us to talk about, and after we watch a few more tutorials and get to grips with it. So yeah, let's see if we can get through this puzzle, and then I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we can look at someone else's. We can look at some of the other pieces, because I don't think we're going to go through all 6 night puzzles right now. Because I'd like to see how some of the pieces operate, because we've still got diagonals to look at with bishops. So Okay, so this is a mating one. I mean, we're effectively doing trial and error. So let's try here. I mean, this is almost and certainly not a thing because the king just takes the knight, and I don't know why it does that as a move. Sure. Let's try that. And nope, because again, king just moves. So that leaves us with that move. So we jump back 2 in time, 1 forward, bifurcate here, and no, because there is plenty of things for it to do. Okay. So what happens if we do this? So we've got a bifurcated thing. We can't move any other pieces, so let's undo that. I mean, this puts the king in check, but doesn't work there. So I'm going to cycle. So I'm going to cycle through all of these, and just see which one actually gives us the right answer. Yeah, because that just gets captured. So there. Submit the move. Puzzle is incomplete. No, okay. So go here. Puzzle is incomplete. And here. And the puzzle is complete. Okay, so why is it that one? Let's see if we can figure this out. Because the king is still there and can't move. Because you go 2 forward, 1 back. Yeah. Okay, so it was as simple as that, actually. Yeah. And we'd forgotten that it's a case of 2. Any space two ahead of us in a past timeline is perfectly valid for an attack. Okay, I'm going to take a break here and kind of like give us a chance to refresh our drinks and stretch and remember to take meds. And when we come back, we will look at... I'll skip the next 3 knight ones and we'll have a look at the bishops, see how they go. Then we've got a couple of combination attacks, see how we do. We'll see how we do with a couple of other puzzles, and then what we might do is jump into a... try a couple more of these, then jump into a game against the AI and see if we can actually get a better grasp of how it works in concert by seeing how the game plays out in macro rather than micro. So it moved 2 places and captured the king in the path. So yeah, effectively it moved 2 spaces in the... it moved 2 spaces in the y-axis, and then 1 in the dimension that of the parallel dimension. So 1 dimension backwards in that respect. So okay, Let's take this to a break, and I will be back with you in a couple of minutes. Yeah, coffee is probably a good idea at this point. So see you in a few moments, folks. Okay, and we are back. Hello, everyone. Hope you managed to refresh your drinks, take your meds if necessary. And travel from the future to change your movie order. Yeah, I've realised that I'd knocked the volume down last week on the desktop audio, and forgot to turn it back up again for this week. So refreshed with some black coffee. And we are ready to get on again, and I hope you are too. So we're going to move on and have a look at what the bishop does now. I hope you're still all good for coming along with me on this journey as we try and figure out what on earth this game is actually trying to do. And so we have a bishop and a king, and obviously bishops normally, you click on the bishop, your standard timeline era is going along the coloured diagonal that it is currently sitting on. So what we have to do is work out that the king only has certain moves that it can make, and where on the diagonals this could be. So I'm going to do something a little bit unintuitive and move it here just to see what it is that we are working with, because obviously the king just escapes in that direction. So cool. All right. The thing is, neither of these moves are particularly intuitive either, because here the king just captures the bishop, because if we select that, yeah, we just get eaten. So that leaves us with this spot here. So we move here. We'll submit this, and we'll now work out why. Because... Okay, hang on. Okay. So when they said that the temporal diagonals operate, oh wow, okay. Right, let me just do this, and then I'll catch up with things from chat. So let's go back to the board. So under normal circumstances, we've got your standard X diagonals for the bishop here, but if we move to this view, I don't think we can get a better parallel view. Okay. You can see what it's showing us is that the diagonal includes past boards that are one down and one along, effectively. So you create. I mean, I don't know why I move my hands here, because it's not going to be as effective. So you've got all these 5 in this direction, and then that there, and that there. So you've got. So you're effectively threatening not only the diagonals here, but you're threatening your immediate laterals in effect. Oh, there's something happened in... Yeah. Let's not raise blood pressures with that topic here. Um, I will just catch up with things. So thank you very much with the hydrate, not Lord English. Um, and Molietsu, thank you for the 10 community gift subs. Unfortunately, I can't see exactly who you gave them to because chat has scrolled on. But thank you very much and welcome to all you new folks. Thanks to Molietsu. So if you went two back in time, would you be restricted to those squares two away from you in one dimension on the board? I think so, or at least the ones laterally to you on one jump back, but then you've got, I think, like, say for example, the bishop I'm pointing to here, if we were, say, two moves backwards, it would not only allow that one dimension back, it would allow that one two dimensions back. And I think that is how this will work. And let's see if that's tested in one of the other puzzles. So we've got another mate in one here. So we have king and bishop. King moved back. King moved out of the way. So we have our options of we've got our options of anywhere along this standard diagonal, or we can jump backwards in time to here or here, and see if that is helpful. I think the move is to jump backwards to this point, because then we check the king here in the present. So let's see if that works. Let's see if our intuition is correct on that front. So we've selected there, we jump to there, and we submit. No, okay. So the king just moves out of the way here, right? And we can't capture any of them. Okay, that makes sense. So what we have got is a jump to here. Doesn't work from that perspective. But if I move here, then doesn't the king just take this? Or is it because we are threatening him in the past, which can't be moved? So let's actually submit there. No, okay. That doesn't work. There is notation for this. It was actually described in the complete rules that you ascribe numbering to not only the rank and file, but you also assign it to. There are quadrigonal coordinates for moving backwards in time. Moving along your timeline, or moving to a parallel timeline. Oh, I see. Bryn has broken out the notation along with IRQ conflict. I can understand basic chess notation, but I think vector math for this is going to be a little bit beyond me. You can move forward in dimensions. I don't think we've seen a great deal of that, but we have definitely seen jumping from past boards to future boards. in one respect. Okay. So, right, let's... Jumping back here. So, jumping there didn't work, and jumping there didn't work. That would only be one move back, though, so it's not like we can threaten it by going to the top vertical, because, again, the king just eats us. So does there work? That's 1, 2, and do we move back in the past in that respect? Okay, so that is right, because we are now... Is that because we are we can be 2 backwards? So let's see. Yes, okay, because we're still... okay. Because we can move 1 back and then 2 diagonals back is threatening that board. Okay, so it was actually as simple as that. And I say simple, but, you know, within the context of the moves that we are given. So let's try the third one, and then we'll move on to combination attacks. So we've got... We're playing black. We've got bishop and a king versus a king, pawn, pawn. And this is a mate in 1. So what we're looking at effectively is... Can we try and get... So the only one which attacks the king there is out. Or is this is this the same as... Is this basically the same version of the puzzle that we have just solved? Because if we go here, then 2 back, so 1, 2, we threaten the king here. No. Okay. So why did it work in the previous one and not this one? Okay. So... not a thing there. If we move there, then are we threatening them on that board? No, okay. That doesn't work. Right, cool, okay. I mean, obviously that can't be right because we just get captured. How would this work? If we were to move there, does that help us in any way, shape or form? Because you would go... I mean, let's see... No, okay. Yeah, that didn't make any sense because of where it could go. Yeah, all right. But this one doesn't make any sense, does it? No. Again, yeah, that didn't... But this leaves us with only this. No. Okay, I thought I've tried everything here. So that didn't work. That didn't work. Because we haven't got a jump back in time here. Okay, now my head hurts, chat, because I think I thought I have tried everything. Right. That obviously didn't work. So right, let's be logical about this. Submit that. That doesn't work for the given reasons. Try this. Like, I'm not usually one for brute forcing puzzles, but I want to. Brute forcing this, it just seems to be the best way to learn. In order to actually understand these puzzles. Yeah. Right. So we have tried all the bishop moves, and none of them have worked. So, does that mean it's actually a king move? Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Thank you, Brad. Oh, I didn't see what you put in chat actually. Yeah, it was cover the bishop. He said. So okay, so this was a case of the bishop doesn't actually have to move, because you're still attacking the king in the past with that. Okay. I'm not sure exactly how much learning we are doing here, but it is some kind of progress. Okay, let's see what the combination attacks are like. Because as we start putting things together, so we've got a combination attack of just keeping an eye on the time though. So we have king, rook, and knight against a pawn and a king. So what would I do if this were a normal chess game? If there was a perfectly normal chess game, which the first things usually are. What I would do is, I don't really want the king to leave that file though, do I? But if I move there, he moved the pawn. Okay, I mean, it's mate in two. Let's see what happens if we do put the king in check. Let's just see what happens. He does that, and then do this. So. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Okay. So we're looking at. I wonder if we do this. Again, I don't quite see how this is in two. Let's try putting the knight there. See what happens. He moves there. And the rook can't really do anything because he can't jump back in time because he's occupying the same position anyway. No, so that doesn't help me, I don't think. What happens if I do that there to try and cut him off? No. Because all that does is no. If I do that, prevent the pawn from moving, so he has to move there. And then there? Because you're threatening. No, okay. John DeVille says, okay, I'm thinking rook to 5-2, then knight to 3-3. Okay, take care, Moliotsu. Thank you for being here. Let's reset that. So, what did you say? Rook to 5-2, then knight to 3-3. Let's try that. See if that works. No, that didn't work. I mean, we're still operating in standard 2D situation here. So, because I feel we want to try and cover this, because we want to try and keep the king, but he just moves this out and has that as a route of opportunity. Amjad02 says rook to 5-2, then knight to 4-2. Okay, we'll try that. So that to there, and then knight to 4-2. The king just jumped back, I think. Oh, well done, MJ02. Let's see what this. Oh, because of course the past kings can't change their positions. And by that point it counts as a past king. Right. IQ Conflict says moving the rook first gives the knight a past. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. We're getting somewhere. In concert chat, I think we are getting somewhere. Or other. I am co-opting chat as extra brain cells here. Okay. So let's finish that and go with a combination attack mate in one. Oh wow. Okay. So not entirely sure how these board states have come about, but right. So we have a board with 4 pawns, a board with 2 pawns, a rook and a king, and the king is on that board. Okay. So, how is this a 1? I mean, does that do it? Okay, so we're under threat as well. Right. So, we're actually in check, or at least in threat right now, because of that rook. All hail the boards, yes. So, what have we got? Got a bunch of options. So we don't want to stay on this line, really. Is it that... that would put us next to the king, conceptually, yeah? Does that count as an illegal move? Yeah, okay. Because... do we basically want to force the king to move down 1? So how do we do that? Yeah. Hmm. Right, so it's not letting me really do that because... yeah, I mean that's just nonsense. Hmm. further away the board, the earlier it diverged from us. I'm guessing so, but like I'm not given an option to. So the only ones I can jump to are there and there, but it doesn't give me an option because I've still got the issue of my king is in check, or my king is being threatened rather. So I mean, what happens if I do that? Oh, I still have moves in. Oh, it's a case of I've got a move on each board effectively. So what happens if I wait? Hang on. What happens if I do that? Am I working along the right lines here? Thank you very much, Piper, for the 5-month resub. Just got here. Hope the chest hasn't been too chaotic. I don't think it's been too chaotic. I think it's been difficult to grok. It's not the most intuitive, and it is not the most friendly for beginners. And even someone, as I say, even someone like me, who understands chess to a reasonable degree, is having trouble. Getting my brain around the dimensional consequences of our actions. Like strategizing chess in 2D is difficult at the best of times. Trying to do it with 2 extra dimensions, and I say a third dimension in this instance because we've only got parallel timelines to consider, is proving somewhat problematic. So on the assumption that we have got 3 moves, with a view that our king is under threat, so our king needs to escape. So let's take our king out here to start with. Let's move. But how are we going to put the king? How are we going to put that in mate? Can we do that? Oh, that was right. Now, why did I do that? Because my viewpoint is that I was threatening that square. I'm also threatening it in the past. That's why. Because pawns capture on or attack on the diagonal. Let's see. the... Okay, so the knight there, there, or 2 and 1. Yeah, to go 1 back. And I guess because it has the pawn as support. So why does that take out the rook, which is... Oh, I guess because the king has to move and it can't. So we've got a double prong. Oh, yeah. Why didn't the rook just capture your king? Because my king is not directly in check at the point that I have put their king in check. So I'm guessing that it's because you've got pawn support across the diagonal for a double checked king that works. Shrug. I don't think the past king can't move. That is fixed. Their king in the present timeline could move, but their one in the past couldn't. Yeah, it is their move, and but remember the rules of chess. And I think this is something that they have played a little bit loose with. Is that their definition of check, or at least checkmate, is, or rather, we have put them in checkmate while they have a potential checkmate on us. And I think the actual outweighs the potential. Their rook is not on a timeline where your king is. Yeah, it's we've got the jump on them, I think. Go to Claire watching it. Wait, we're playing chess since when? Some point. We're playing cheese. Yes. Okay. Let's try a queen one, and then I think what we might do is we might call this one a little bit early, because what I want to do after this is let's see what a game against the AI is like, and we will try and play out a couple of moves on that front. So the trick was not to create a future for your king. Wow, that's bleak. So we're going to try looking at queen moves, and we've got mate in 1 apparently. So king moved up to support the queen, king moved there. Oh, and so already we've got a mass of options, and some of the reviews that I have seen with this have said that the queen is massively overpowered because of its dimensional moving. Its capacity to dimensionally move like this. So what have we got? So if we do that, we have an effective steamroller because the king can't move in the present. Yeah, okay. That one is pretty much is pretty much straightforward in any respect of the timeline. Okay, so we'll finish that one. Let's just check the next one and see. And we've got a starting position of mate in 2. So what would you normally do under this circumstance? I mean, let's go there. Let's do a direct check and see. And then... But that doesn't block off enough. That doesn't block up enough options. So, I mean, we'll do that and then we'll see why that's not a right answer. Yeah, okay, because there's still plenty of options for the king to move. So what we want to do is... we can't go either there or there because it's just a straight capture. Can't go there because it will be there. So what we want to do is... I mean, ever decreasing circles is a valid tactic. And then there? No, okay. Because it just escapes on that. Oh no, I forgot to do a jump there. So let me... Yes, that was what I meant, rather than rather than just doing it on this. In my head, I knew that I wanted to do the jump back in time, but yes, because we've got a direct assault on the king in that respect. Okay. Well, I think we've got possibly a reasonable... Well, no. I think reasonable might be a little bit stretching it. We've got a grasper. Yes, Matson 1211. Queen can move as many spaces as it likes in any direction it can. And as RQ Conflict says, yes, straight line direction. So as far as it wants along a diagonal or the rank or the file. And it's got that power in all dimensions in this game as well, which is why the queen is supposedly the most powerful piece, not only in the base game, but in this as well. I think we've gone as far as we can, at least, in trying to understand the puzzles. And I don't want to necessarily go through all the puzzles here with you today, because we're trying to get a grasp for the game. We're just trying to get an introductory experience. So, this may be... this may be foolish, but we are going to try a CPU match where we are playing white against the trainer, so the weakest AI, and we are going to go with standard. And again, look, user interface. If you are giving me variants such as MISC Small or MISC Timeline Invasion, tell me what these modes are, please. I want to be able to understand them without necessarily going into them. Oh, look, what is MISC Global Warming? Like, that doesn't explain what it is. And you know, the suck it and see method of game design is not one that sits well with me. But let us try a standard game and see what we are presented with. So, whereas before we've had a 4x4 or 5x5 board. We now have a full-size chessboard. We have the standard 8x8 with full set of pieces. Global warming, is that where the boards melt? Says Ghost of Cloud Watching. Ah, it would be like if they're intending to bring out new variations of like parts of the board drop away, or you lose the back row every 6 turns or something like that. It might be it might make for an interesting experience. But again, tell me what your modes are. Give explanation. There are some things that a game should make you figure some things out. I mean, that's where part of, like, particularly with strategy games and particularly with like puzzle games of this nature, learning to overcome the puzzles is very important. It's part of where the challenge lies. It's part of where the entertainment and the ability to play and the fun that you get out of playing the game comes from. Not everything has to be a puzzle. Not everything has to be a challenge. Chess meets Forbidden Island for global warming. Oh, that would be really interesting. I don't necessarily think this is deliberately obtuse. I think it is simply that it is insufficient. Unless, and we can't let's call it insufficient as opposed to deliberately obtuse, because let's not ascribe malice to a situation where either ignorance or sheer misunderstanding of the target demographic might be better applied. But okay, let's see how far we get in this, and then we'll go back to Booth, do some final analysis, and round it out with karaoke. Oh, Drudcup redeemed Comfort Crew time. So yes, let us have Hamid. Crochet Hamid will join us for this grand adventure. They needed a beta tester who wasn't part of the dev team, says Alia Chimera. I think that is a very good point, and I suspect that their dev testing was possibly more limited than would have been ideal. But obviously, I don't know how big the dev team is for this. It's possible that this was just one guy. It has the feel of a solo project, and I don't know why. So yes, hello. So I'm going to put Hamid. I don't have a pocket this time, so I can't actually keep Hamid with me. So we're just going to put him down here by my keyboard, and hope. Actually, let me prop him up against my coffee cup, and then he's got a view of the board. So let's have a look. Standard openings. Let's pretend we're playing a normal game of chess. What? Oh, submit move. Okay. It feels weird knowing that even at this point we've got a multitude of options that we wouldn't normally have for this kind of game. I mean, in a standard game of chess, I'm looking to castle early, so let us let's go. What are you doing? I mean, obviously the AI is thinking in more dimensions than we are. Look, okay. The computer is giving me an option at Fool's Mate. I'm going to take it and see. I'll level with you, chat. So, it's a win, but this is a very standard win. By all rights, even a basic AI should not have allowed me this win. I don't know if there's an AI option for good at normal chess, just trying out 5D, because this should not have happened. This is one of the very first, and simplest checkmates that you are taught, or at least taught to try and avoid or taught to recognize. So, I mean, this is an ordinary game of chess, effectively. So I'll take you. I'll for those who may not understand basic chess, from start, and I'll take you through it. So what you do is you move the pawn in front of the king. I mean, you didn't have to be two; it could have just been one. Because what you want to do is open up this diagonal and this diagonal. Now, I don't know why the AI decided to forego standard openings for black and move and try to claim the center. Well, for instance, so they just had you play Baby's first chess game. Yes. Yeah, IAQ conflict. You looked away. Did it seriously just let you follow through on Fool's Mate? Yes, it did. So as I say, you want to open up these diagonals. You use your next move to move the bishop to c4, because what you are doing is threatening this pawn in front of the king's bishop. That is where you want to apply pressure. You then move the queen out to f3 here, so that you've got the bishop and the queen putting pressure on that pawn. And then you capture that pawn because the king hasn't got anywhere to move and you're protecting the queen with your bishop. As I say, that is the most... The way it's saying that you can go back in time and capture the king, it's you're checkmating the king here in the present. Okay, let's try that again and see if it does something different this time round. Oh, we have a hydrate redeemed. Okay, take care, Joe Mendasium. Thank you for being here. Yeah, double checkmate. Let's try that again. Let's see if the game. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I'm keeping undo move into. Okay, you're doing something different. Good. Okay. Let us see what you are going to do. Let us. Cool. Let's do let's do the same, because putting pressure on that diagonal is not a bad idea. Yeah, you've learned. Okay, knight to h6. gives black a defense on that targeted square. I mean, the pawn defense here as well is enough to dissuade it. But if on the off chance I could get the queen, say, into there, and actually, that isn't such a bad idea. Because then he has to move the knight into pose, or I mean, could move the. Actually, no. It isn't such a great idea because a pawn to there just threatens the queen. I can't capture the knight because there's still pressure on from the bishop, and all I've done is actually put my queen out into a worse situation, or have I? I'm going to test this. Yeah, Choco. Technically, I could have won in the past is now a valid thing to say in a match. It's scary. Anil, you keep hitting the wrong button because traditionally confirm is on the left, cancel is on the right. Yeah, game design is messing with muscle memory. It really is. Don't change things from the status quo unless there is a good reason to. This is, again, another UX issue. Actually, I mean, this is a UI. This is a UI, user interface issue impinging on user experience. So we're still experimenting here. Let us do what I have in mind. Let's move the queen there and see what. What? No. How? Game. Hang on. Okay, let's have a look at what. Oh, oh, it's the diagonal is 4 back. Which I hadn't realised. The diagonal is actually 4 back, so it's enough to be. It's enough to be a direct attack on the king. Ah, okay. Right. Huh, okay. Okay, right. Oh. So for anyone who didn't quite get that, let's move back to this board. So in opening up this diagonal and keeping the pressure, again, as if we were intending to do a fool's mate, I decided, right, okay, let's put the queen there because under standard conditions, the queen just puts the king in check. The pawn would come down here to threaten your queen, or under other circumstances, the knight would move there to block off the line of attack. But doing so in this board wouldn't stop the fact that the queen has the power of the queen to move in any direction for as much as it wants. And if we look back here, what it has actually conveniently done is given us the actual the board presence that it can attack in the past. It's because you've got 1, 2, 3 line of attack on the diagonal, and 1, 2, 3 boards in the past. So by moving there, regardless of anything that they do on this board, the queen can immediately jump 3 boards back and capture the king. Okay, let's try one game at regular and then see how this plays out. Let's up the difficulty level. Although I think what I would do to learn things, to probably learn things a bit better, is to keep hitting on the trainer AI, and this might actually be more useful than some of the puzzles that we have been putting our heads against. So okay, let's try standard opening. Oops. Okay, so you've got a night. Maybe I should try a 4 nights opening, or try for the 4 nights opening at some point. Let's go with defending the center. Although we have got the option of sending it back in time, but I don't know that's really what I want to do here. Huh. Looking to deploy your Rook, are we? So if I click on the Queen, where is it giving us options for? It's giving us like plenty of options. Well, I'd say plenty of options. It's giving us 3 options that we could move to. Deselect that. If we click on the knight, we've got a whole bunch of options that we could target in the past. If I wanted to try and do that, actually, I'm interested to figure out, see what happens if I do that. It does that. Now, can I do this and hope that the bishop is fixed, or is it? Okay, I'm going to try this. And I'm going to assume that the bishop can actually take me in this timeline. So let's submit the move. Yeah, okay, it did do that. So that was interesting from a. So I've got moves. Have I got a move here? No. Where do I have a move? I haven't got a move on that board. Do I have a move on this board? No, I have a move on this board because this is the present. And in this version, I still have my knight. So let's move. Let's move the bishop. Got a knight move that jumps back. So that we've got 3 knights on this board. I mean, okay, I've got a very limited timeline that I can move this on. Or can I move this queen? Yeah. Oh, so it only goes as far back as the bifurcation. Okay. That's interesting to note. Okay, let's castle. It's my standard move. UI. Why are you not letting me castle? Have you taken out castling in this version game? No, it did it. So why is it not? Oh, because I've still got to move here. Right, okay. Right. So you have moved your knight back so that you've got a 4-knight border. Well, I mean that's a novel way to actually do the 4 knights opening. But it's not usually supposed to be 4 knights of the same colour. Although I don't actually know where I'm going to go from here. It's not really giving me a lot of options, though. I mean, I could try and threaten something. What if I do that and then the jumping on of let's say moving that and you push your bishop back. Obviously, like I'm not really using the temporal thing to its full advantage here. But I wonder. Let's see if I move my queen out on one of these boards and then use it to. Actually, no, I don't want to do it on this board. Let me move my queen out on this one because I think that will give me the greatest range if I want to try and do it in the past. Ugh. You split the timeline again. I don't know why. What are you planning? What are you planning? So I've now got to move here. But what I wanted to do was try and move it. No, this. Okay. I'm going to try and capture this pawn in the past. Oh, but you've got. No, because I think you've still got a knight in the present that is going to. That would obviate that. Can I capture anything in the past that wouldn't necessarily be? What moves does the queen have? Does it intersect with anything? No, unless I send it back to the far past. Ha. I will admit, chat, I may have reached my limit in thinking far enough ahead. So we may just be on Anil tries things out here and sees. God, that created a... Ah. Um... Chat. I think Kiritsuzu, I think you have it right there. I have now got 5 parallel timelines and a 6th if that is slightly more set back. I think at this point I have lost track of anything I was hoping to actually achieve here. So I think I'm going to call this here, but okay, I say we go back and start tap dancing on butterflies. Can't make any worse. Sister of the Cup. I think we've got an overview, an idea of what this game is like. This is less a game, more a model of the periodic table. Yes, I like that. Niblick 3 says, what leg of the Trousers of Time are we currently in? I think we are in the 5th leg, 6 trousers removed. Nuclear from orbit just to be safe, says Pezzy Chaos. Okay, I am going to call this here, and let's go back to Booth. Let's talk about what we have learned. So, what have we learned from this game? we have learned that there is a solid idea here. If you know chess, if you like chess, and you are looking for a challenge, this game has it in spades. This is very much a game for people who like strategy, who like experimenting and trying out new ideas with beloved games. There is a big market for computerized versions of board games. We know that, and this is actually probably the first board game that we played on stream. And there is a big market, I think, for variants of board games that can only be done by computer. There is no way that you could play this in real life. It just would not be feasible in any way, shape, or form, short of some kind of weird exhibition match where you did an even more restricted version of the rule set. Where this game falls down, the user experience. If you are not somebody who has an immediate grasp of spatial dynamics or spatial logic, this game is hard to grasp, I feel. The puzzles and the rule set don't work together in a way to conveniently explain what it is you are seeing or what it is you are experiencing. You have a lot of figuring out to do from first principles, effectively. Although it's probably second or third principles, because by this point your first principles is understanding what the base game of chess is actually like. Sorry, need to refresh. When this game falls down, I think it's the kind of game where, in order to properly grasp it, I will want to go and I will want to spend more time on it. And actually, I referred back to our playthrough of Cultist Simulator, and how that had a user experience which was, again, wholly unintuitive, and required you to bang your head against a brick wall for hours in order to get anywhere. It relied very much on trial and error to go through repetitive cycles, and again, not give you much in the way of hints to pull it all together. And that had a storyline to try and bring it together. This operates in a similar space, but I am much more kindly disposed to this game than I am to Cultist Simulator. I have no intention, realistically, of going back to that game. Its initial presentation and experience put me off so very completely, that I have no intention of doing it. I have better ways to spend my time than trying to figure out a path through that. This, however, is much more appealing. This makes at least a semblance more sense than that did. And even though the user experience and the tutorial and the introductoriness of it is, as I say, a little bit on the arbitrary side, is very much on the, it's definitely not holding your hand, but it wants to try and present itself as if it is. And again, it's a game that I am much more inclined to say, okay, I am going to put some more time into to try and figure out what it is that I am seeing here. what it is that you want me to do, because the game is actually engaging enough for me to want to try. And that's where I think the other games in this genre, and I don't want it to necessarily sound that like I am dunking completely on Cultist Simulator. Look, we have a 4-hour video on our YouTube channel where you can watch Mike and I doing that. But I don't think that the comparison is unfair, and I don't think that I think that this could be really good for getting people who are familiar with the game into it more with just a little bit more work. Niblick3 says this at least has real world analog you can use as a basis for understanding, whereas Cultist Simulator just threw you right in it. Yeah, I think that's a fair analysis. Being confusing because the devs think they're being cute is much less forgivable than devs just not being clear. Yeah, I'm going to put this down to the devs. The devs feel that anyone who is playing this game is understanding chess at the level that they are, but they also understand the algorithms which behind this. They're the ones who coded the algorithms behind this. And as we have seen, the trainer AI, whilst a little bit limited, would actually give sufficiently different gameplay for you to be able to test out theories and to try and to, as if you were learning chess for the first time, because often what you will do when you are learning chess, or at least in my experience of learning chess, the base game, is that you will play out scenarios on boards and then talk through them and figure out in a usually community environment why that didn't work, or why that wrong, or what you should be looking at here. And I think once this game has had time to settle in and bed down a little bit, there will be more tutorials, and there will be more like let's plays on YouTube by professional level chess players who will be able to explain the game better than the devs have here. And it will make more sense and more people will get into it. Yeah, sure, bye. As I said earlier, that means that learning the puzzle is part of the story. It's a game is trying very hard to tell. It's very hard to do it well. So you're saying this game is like a good cheese? Maybe. I mean, you're asking the wrong person really here, because my appreciation of cheese is distinctly limited. But that is probably a question for an AMA. It's a niche game that suddenly got some mainstream attention on Twitter. Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the Steam reviews for this game, it is wholly positive, and that's not just from a small amount of people. But I did dig deeper, and the criticisms that I saw of the game are valid. I think there are people who will try this out thinking it is going to be like a simple addition to understanding the normal rules of chess, and get frustrated that it isn't because the UX is poor, and won't stick with it. And I think that in this case that's a shame, because I think there is much of value here. So that's probably enough analysis. I did see a question go by, will I play this on stream again? Maybe. I think I will want to spend some more time with it before I try it again. And the suggestion we had earlier of maybe try and get someone else in our queue to pick this up as well may have some degree of merit, but I don't think that will be for a while. So with that said, I think we have got some let me close this down. I think that's got rid of something in my ears. I think we have some some karaoke requests to fulfill. So while I set that up, let's see what we've got in the request queue. That's done. That's done. Do we have anything more on the request queue? Okay. Right. Oh, so Matson has requested Out of Touch by Daryl Hall and by Hall and Oates. I don't know that song. Let us see what we can find. Out of Touch by Hall and Oates. I've never heard this song, Matson. Thank you for choosing it. Right, I'm going to have to mute the desktop audio because obviously it not being DMCA free, I'm not going to be able to play the music for it. Yes, Joe Spoopy. Mike and I both have the Karaoke Redemption on the Stream Shinies. So what you get from me is bad karaoke. Oh, with more. Oh, that's a great song. We are going to try. We're going to try Out of Touch by Hall & Oates. I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to have the music playing in my ears so that I can know what the tune is. And then we will see how it goes. Oh, ads. Right. Okay, first time, completely blind sing through, I guess. I probably won't sing it all, maybe just a couple of verses. Oh, this is very 80s. Have I heard this one? Out of touch, I'm out of time, but I'm out of mind when you're not around. You're out of touch, I'm out of time, but I'm out of it when you're not around. Oh, oh, oh. Reaching out for something to hold, looking for a love where the climate is cold. Manic moves and drowsy dreams, being in the middle between the 2 weeks. Okay, this is one that I probably needed more of a run up, but I hope that was okay, Matson. That is my best attempt at a blind sing through of Out of Touch. Now, Bryn requested a favourite song from Chess the Musical, which is probably in keeping with this. Now, obviously, my favourite song is my favourite song from Chess the Musical is I Know Him So Well, but that's a duet. And I'm not going to try and do both sides of that very famous duet by myself. The obvious one for me to go to next is obviously, double obviously, is One Night in Bangkok. But again, not. Whilst it's a good song, I'm going to go with. I'm actually going to go with lyrics. Where are we? Oh God, Kiritsuzu. Right, okay. Make Bryn Singer with you. Maybe at a different time. And I hope that I don't need to go too high for this one. I'm going to do Florence's song "Nobody's Side."
FXCM's
because this is a really good song. Going on around me is barely making sense. I need some explanations fast. I see my present partner in the imperfect tense, and I don't see how we can last. I feel I need a change of cast. Maybe I'm on nobody's side when it gives me reasons to justify each move. They're getting harder to believe. I know this can't continue. I've still a lot to prove. There must be more I could achieve. But I don't have the nerve to leave. Everybody's playing the game, but nobody's rules are the same. Nobody's on nobody's side. Better learn to go it alone. Recognize you're out on your own. Nobody's on nobody's side. Should not think of keeps rolling through my mind, and I don't want to let that go. No lover's ever faithful, no contract truly signed. There's nothing certain left to know. And how the cracks begin to show. Nobody make a promise or plan. Take a little love where you can. Nobody's on nobody's side. Never stay too long in your bed. Never lose your heart, use your head. Nobody's on nobody's side. I'm going to cut that one off there. It goes on in a similar vein, but I really love that song. Weirdly enough, there's a good version in Swedish that I was alerted to. The link is probably somewhere on the Discord for that. Now, who's next? Withmore requested "Turn Back Time" by Aqua. Now there's a classic. I'm just glad you didn't make me do the share version. Okay, let's make sure that this is... Make sure the desktop audio doesn't click back on, because it has a tendency to. I have the album, or I had the album for this. And I had both Aqua albums actually. I really enjoyed them. Give me time to reason, me time to think it through. Passing through the season where I cheated you. I will always have a cross to wear, but the bolt reminds me I was there. So give me strength to face this test tonight. If only I could turn back time. If only I had said what I still hide. If only I could turn back time, I would stay for the night, for the night. Right to science, claim your right to see the truth. Though my pangs of conscience will drill a hole in you. I've seen it coming like a thief in the night. I've seen it coming from the flesh of your light. So give me strength to face this test tonight. If only I could turn back time. If only I had said what I still hide. If only I could turn back lime, I would stay. This bolt reminds me I was there. The bolt reminds me I was there. I'm going to cut off there because it's much the same, and you know, the video is 4 minutes long, and I'm not going to repeat those lyrics for that long. But thank you for that indulgence. And we've got I'm definitely not going to be doing the whole of this one, but Kiritsuzu has requested I would do anything for love by Meatloaf. Let's see. Epic piano. I would do anything for love. I'd run right into hell and back. I would do anything for love, but I'd rather you, and that's a fact. Never been the way you feel right now. Oh no, no way. And I would do anything for love. I won't do that. No, I won't do that. Some days it don't come easy. Some days it don't come hard. Some days it don't come at all. And these are the days that never end. Some nights you're breathing fire. Some nights you're carved in ice. Some nights you are nothing I've seen before or will again. Maybe I'm crazy. That's crazy, but it's true. I know you can save me. No one else can save me now but you. And it's a turning. As long as the stars are burning. As long as your dreams are coming true. You better believe it that I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. but I won't do that. No, I won't do that. When a thing for love, no, I would never dreaming of, but I just won't do that. I won't do anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just won't do. Some days I pray for silence. Some days I pray for soul. Some days I just pray to the God of sex and drugs and rock and roll. Maybe I'm lonely, and that's all I'm qualified to be. That's just one and only promise I can keep. As long as the wheels are turning, as long as the fire's burning, as long as the prayers are coming true, you better believe that I would do anything for love. And you're true, and that's a fact. I would do anything for love, and there'll never be no turning back. But I'll never do it better than I do it with you. So long, and I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. I would do anything for love. But I won't do that. No, do that. Me up, will you help me down? Will you get me right out of this God-forsaken town? Will you make it all a little less cold? I can do that. Oh, I will do that. You can't fantasy I've got. Will you hose me down with holy water? If I get too hot, will you take me places I've never known? I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Territory I've been around. It'll all turn to dust and we'll all fall down. Sooner or later you'll be screwing around. I won't do that. No, I won't do that. Anything for love. Won't do that. There you go, chat. Clap, clap, clap to everyone who was singing along. I hope you enjoyed that. I have to say, I have not listened back to any of the karaoke parts that I have done on the last couple of streams. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Are you here for the 100 bits? It is much appreciated. So, thank you everyone for being with me through... Oh, thank you very much, Kirit Suzu, for the 100 bits as well. Thank you everyone for being with me here this afternoon, this evening, this time of day, where we looked at 5D chess with multiverse time travel. I hope you found that interesting, an interesting little bit of analysis or analysis, depending on the chat command you use. So, what have we got going on? Thank you again for everyone who has supported, who has subbed, who has gifted. It is much appreciated. You can support us by direct donation, by subscribing to the channel, or by signing up to our Patreon over at patreon.com/Rusty Quill. If you want to know more about what we do and the shows that we put out, go to rustyquill.com. You can join us in the Discord. We have some channels set up specifically for talking about the streams. I will probably pop along later this evening and see what folks are saying, because right after this, I need to go and get some dinner. But coming up on RQ Streams, it's a quieter week this week. What we have coming up on Saturday, Mike at 3 p.m. BST will be playing Fall Guys, the latest adventure multiplayer weird thing from Devolver. It has been doing. It's been getting a lot of attention on Twitch, and looks like it's a lot of fun. Looks like you putting a weird character through the gauntlet, as it were. So tune in for that. Next Wednesday, I am going to go back to The Wolf Among Us. We are going to do episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us. Obviously, if you were here for part 1, you will have seen how different that is from our usual Wednesday games. The game comes with a whole list of content warnings, which I will make clear prior to starting the game, and I will probably post in the Discord as well with regards to it. So yeah, all the content warnings for episode 2 of The Wolf Among Us from Telltale Games, the old Telltale Games. We'll then make a decision at the end of that as to whether or not I'm going to carry on with that on stream. It's possible that I may not. We will see how we are feeling after that episode. Episode 1 was obviously a lot. It's on the VOD if you want to go back and check it out. Coming up in ancillary streams as well. Bryn is back on his channel tomorrow. Twitch.tv/BraveTheFibblethip, playing Life is Strange. I'm not quite sure what episode he is on, but again, content warnings for that as well. Tonight, Twitch.tv/EA Podcast, Alistair will be doing bedtime stories as usual. For those who aren't familiar, Alistair played Peter Lucas in the Magnus Archives. Friday is Johnny, Twitch.tv/Johnny Waistcoat, playing Control, I think still. Saturday, obviously, is Mike. Sunday, you can join me over on the Hint Plays channel. So that's twitch.tv/hint, HINT_plays, where I will be GMing a game of Dusk City Outlaws for the birthday of one of our mods, for Drutter Cup. And I believe Nightbites, who is also in the chat, will be joining us for that. So it'll be Drutter Cup, Nightbites, Fishy, and another person whose name I'm sorry I cannot quite remember, from the Hint Plays Discord server. We'll be doing a heist in Dusk City. So tune in for that. Also on Sunday evenings, 7 p.m. will be the Brothers Meredith on their channel. Probably continuing with Titan Quest. I don't quite know. No, I haven't actually put that command in, Drodicup. I need to get that one in, actually. And also at 8 p.m. on McGuffin and Co. probably will be doing a board game stream or an RPG stream of some kind. Not quite sure yet. They haven't released details of that, but they created a kaiju game. If you were there for that last week, and also on Tuesday of next week, in a change to their regular schedule, there is a Dungeons and Leopards game being run by Quantum Leopard. And this one will be starring the wonderful Helen Gould from Rusty Quill Gaming and other RQ shows. So tune in next Tuesday for that. I believe that's basically the week in summary. So thank you again for being here. Hope you have a lovely rest of day. And I will see you all very, very soon. Take care, everyone.